There's a director named Duncan Jones. He made a movie called Moon, which I've recommended on the show before. Talented guy. He tweeted this out yesterday, and I just find this obnoxious. He tweeted out, "I have 2 kids, 2.5 years and 9 months old, respectively. I'll tell you something I never see anyone admit. They are exhausting, frustrating, and life destabilizing. They are rarely fun. Sure, smiles are great, hugs are lovely, but it's hard and not obviously a good choice in life." This is where people feel compelled to say, "I wouldn't change it for the world." But you know, of course I'd reconsider. It's exhausting. It's banal. It's like looking after your dog you can't house train. What it is that it is, and they are mine. Hopefully they turn out okay. First of all, just to go back to the first part of that tweet where he says, "I never hear people talk about how exhausting and horrifying children are, how frustrating and life destabilizing they are." Is he like, does he have actual mental problems? Does he have eyes or ears? This is the #1 topic among all parents forever, is how your kids drive you up a wall. Like literally, you can ask folks at the office, how often do I talk about how my kids are driving me crazy? You don't have to do that. Listen to the show. Like every other day, I'm talking about how my kids drive me crazy. It is also true that they are the best thing that has ever happened to me. And when Duncan Jones says, well, you don't have to add that, you know, they're not a great choice. They're not obviously a good choice in life. When he says, you know, I might reconsider, I can't imagine how his kids are going to feel 10 years from now reading those tweets. When he says, I wouldn't change it for the world, of course I'd reconsider. Really, would you reconsider? Then maybe you should not be a parent. Seriously. And also, it's so self-centered. If kids screw up your priorities, it's because your priorities are screwed up. Your priority is your kids. You know how many times I've had to ditch things that I want to go to because I got to take care of my kids, or shift my schedule around because I have to do something with my kids? And then do you know how awesome it is that I was with my kids? As I've said this 1,000 times in person and on the show. This is one of my things. Life is all about the highs and the lows. And basically, here's how it works. When you're single, your high is like a 7 and your low is like a 2, unless you're clinically depressed or something. Then you get married and your high is a 10 because you have a partner in life. And that partner in life, when you're with them, it makes life just that much better. And your low is like a 0 because when something bad happens to the person you're with, then it's worse than something bad happening to you. When my wife is sick, it is much worse for me than when I'm sick. And then you have kids, and all boundaries on the upper and lower thresholds disappear completely. The best things that ever happen to you in life will happen with your kids, and the worst things that ever happen to you in life will happen with your kids. There's nothing better, nothing in the world better than hanging out with my daughter and teaching her things and having her say funny things, or me being in the car and partying with the kids in the back. I have a great video. My kids like to sit in the back of the car. We have 2 car seats in the back. I have one who's 5 and one almost 5 in a few weeks here, and one who's 2.5. And I turn on Elvis, and they're partying it out in the back, and it's a blast. Nothing is better than that. And then when something terrible happens to your kid, when your kid is throwing up in the middle of the night, and you're cleaning up and trying to make them feel better, or when, God forbid, your kid has a surgery or something, which I've been through with my daughter, when all that happens, that's the worst thing that ever happened to you in your life. Is that something that you would trade away? I don't know. Would you trade away seeing the world in color? Would you trade away? It's like the Wizard of Oz. It really is. Before and after having kids, I don't even remember not having kids. This is how it works. At every stage of life, there's a point where you don't remember what happened before. After you get married, you don't remember what it was like to be single. It's very difficult to remember what it was like to be single because now you have someone you are attached to. And then you have kids and you really don't remember what it was like not to have kids, which is why you see so many couples struggling with empty nest syndrome after the kids leave, because your life totally shifts around that. It's like in the Wizard of Oz, the original Wizard of Oz, where everything is in black and white, and then the house lands in Oz, and suddenly the door opens and everything is in color. That's what it's like having kids. So maybe you would prefer to go back to black and white. Maybe it was safer and nicer for you there. Guess what? That's because there's something wrong with your eyes. It's because if you look at your kids and you only see the same blacks and whites you saw before you had kids, then I would suggest that you have some sort of vision adjustment because you got a problem.